We've been a leader in banking for more than 100 years. You'll find us here, at home, on your phone, and everywhere you go. Renaissance Bank. Understanding you. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Sponsored by Renaissance Bank.
Good morning and welcome to Daily Journal Newsbreak for Friday, December 1st. I'm your host, Chris Kiefer, and we're going to take a look at today's top news and sports stories from Northeast Mississippi. But first, let's start with your weather forecast. Today we're looking at sunny skies with a high of 65 and a low of 37, a 10% chance of rain. Looking ahead at your 3-day outlook calls for partly cloudy skies over the next 3 days. Saturday a high of 67 with a low of 39. Sunday high of 66 and a low of 46, and Monday that high is up to 71, the low is 53. Let's take a look now at today's top headlines. The Ulysses S. Grant Presidential Library and the Williams Collection of Lincolniana opened on Thursday at Mississippi State University. It could be said to have started with a little bit of lunch money and a child's interest in history. Frank Williams told a story at Thursday's opening ceremony for the library about how he pocketed his lunch money as a boy. He would save it up to buy books about Abraham Lincoln and the Civil War. Williams is a retired Chief Justice of the Rhode Island Supreme Court and the president of the Ulysses S. Grant Association. He and his wife Virginia donated more than 30,000 items to MSU to be housed at the Grant Library earlier this year. Their hope is that the collections on Grant and Lincoln will spark a love of history in visitors for years to come. The Ulysses S. Grant Presidential Library is on the 4th floor of MSU's Mitchell Memorial Library. It houses the Ulysses S. Grant Presidential Museum, the Williams Collection, and the Congressional and Political Research Center. The Grant Library is a $10 million, 21,000 square foot expansion of Mitchell Memorial Library. Its opening makes MSU one of 6 universities nationwide to house a presidential library. The Mississippi Attorney General's office is continuing its efforts to collect funds from those accused of bribing former Corrections Commissioner Chris Epps. This week, it announced a $1.3 million lawsuit settlement with Sentinel Offender Services. That company provides electronic monitoring services. Attorney General Jim Hood announced in February he was filing 11 lawsuits against the companies and individuals accused in the massive kickback and bribery scheme that was uncovered in 2014. Epps had served as Commissioner of Corrections for 3 governors. He was charged with accepting kickbacks of about $1.5 million and filing false income tax returns. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to nearly 20 years in prison. So far, Hood's office has collected $5.8 million from 3 companies. Efforts to collect from other individuals and companies continue. 8 people have pleaded guilty in federal court. They're primarily accused of paying Epps bribes to garner contracts with the Department of Corrections. College football can be lucrative for athletic programs and universities. It can also be a moneymaker for homeowners. Hundreds of Airbnb hosts in Oxford and Starkville made more than $800,000 during the football season. That's according to an analysis by the company. Will Burns, a public policy director for Airbnb in Mississippi, said the Ole Miss and Mississippi State athletic programs are huge tourism draws. The company said home games in Oxford and Starkville create a source of revenue for the local economy. The analysis found that more than 8,580 Airbnb arrivals were booked in 2017 for football home games at both schools. The highest guest arrivals for an Ole Miss home game occurred October 20th and 21st for a home game against LSU. That saw 2,290 guests use the Airbnb service. The highest for a Mississippi State home game occurred October 7th and 8th during a home game against Auburn. That saw 200 guests use the service. And in sports, Ole Miss will receive a ruling this morning on the NCAA case involving its football team. According to NCAA protocol, the school got a 24-hour advance notice of the announcement. The Jackson Clarion Ledger reported on Thursday that Ole Miss will receive the decision by 8:30 a.m. It will be made public later this morning. The school has refused to comment, citing a confidentiality agreement with the NCAA. Ole Miss faces 21 allegations, with 15 of them being Level 1 status. The school has been charged with lack of institutional control. The ruling could include additional sanctions to those already put in place by Ole Miss. It is also possible that former head coach Hugh Freeze could receive a show cause penalty that would require any school that hires him within a certain time to submit to possible restrictions. Ole Miss had already put in place several penalties, including a bowl ban for the current season and a reduction of 11 scholarships. The bowl ban has cost the school an estimated $7.8 million. Check djournal.com throughout the morning for the latest on the NCAA's announcement as it is made public. And that does it for Newsbreak on this Friday. Don't forget that this show is just one of the many online offerings, courtesy of the Daily Journal, to get you news off the page and on the go. Listen to the Memo podcast for the latest on news and entertainment in Northeast Mississippi with hosts Emma Kent and Derek Russell. On Thursday's episode, Jenna Parsons talks about this week's food section. Photographer Lauren Wood discusses her recent photo gallery on a local letterpress artist. And Derek talks about the weekend entertainment scene. Look for it later this afternoon in Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or at memo.djournal.com. And each story discussed on Newsbreak can be found in your daily journal or online at djournal.com, where you can also catch a new episode of Newsbreak each weekday morning at 7 a.m. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Kiefer. Have a great Friday.